All right, welcome back to another episode of Politics and Movies. And today we're discussing There Will Be Blood. And we've got our special guest, GS, again. And he's got a few words about There Will Be Blood.
There was some blood. Yeah, I checked it out.
Yes, there was in fact blood. All right, let's give a rundown on the film real quick. It is a 2007 American epic period drama written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, loosely based on the 1927 novel Oil by Upton Sinclair. It stars Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano, Kevin J. O'Connor, and Kieran Hines. And
Get these Hines. Get this Hines.
Get these Hines behind me. Yeah, so first off, what are your initial impressions of the film?
Pretty good. I like the way it was shot. I like the period production. The score was the standout thing for me. Everybody goes on about, Daniel Day-Lewis, the best actor of our time, whatever. Milkshake monologue is important cinema. No, I don't care. I just like the score.
It's funny because I think the most iconic line of the film is not the milkshake monologue, but the I've abandoned my son, I've abandoned my boy, and that has a whole different context. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, that's when he's the most, he's acting.
That's at his lowest point versus the I drink your milkshake being at arguably his highest point where he's in control.
Absolutely not. He's waking up on the floor with his private bowling pin and eats a cold steak. And yet he's still in control. God is good. God is great.
But we'll get into it. So, all right. Speaking of, let's get into it. I would argue, let's look at the obvious first. This entire film is about it's about
and that's what makes it so powerful.
It's about it is about family, but it's about a power struggle between two people. At its core, it's about a power struggle between Daniel Plainview and Eli Sunday. Would you agree?
I would not agree.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it feels sort of like it wants to be a character study, but it's also trying to tell a story at the same time. So, I don't know, to me it was about, can we help being what we are? And also about, whether that can be changed through self-awareness. That, if I had to, pick a theme, then that's what it seemed like the movie was about to me.
Struggle for self-awareness?
Well, and are we, doomed to be what we are, to follow our nature? And that was illuminated at many points, especially when the guy's supposed brother shows up.
Yeah,
and he confesses a great deal of, self-knowledge and says, I have it in me, therefore you have it in you.
Yes. And it's funny, I was just about to say that, that's when he is at his most vulnerable, and then he finds out that his brother is actually dead, and the man is an imposter, and then he kills that man in a fit of passion. So could we argue that?
By the way, I love his crazy eyes in that scene.
Yeah,
best acting in the movie, in my opinion.
This is a great movie. I'm not gonna mince words. I feel like this is a great movie.
It was good, but I don't quite get why it's as lauded as it is. There are more aspects of it that I appreciate than, thinking it hangs together as a strong, cohesive whole.
Well, I think it really does work as a character study, as you were saying. If you don't think it works on that level, I would appreciate some thoughts about that.
No, I guess I do. And compared to a lot of things I've seen that, have that sort of angle, it does feel like it has a more three-dimensional and cohesive character rather than just slapping a bunch of seemingly contradictory traits and scenes together and saying, oh, it has complexity. No, this feels like an actual guy, flawed and sometimes saying one thing and doing another and then doing yet another, because he's human and we're a little inconsistent sometimes. Say like his relationship with the boy. I mean, there are enough scenes early on that establish that he does have some genuine feeling for the kid, and for like the first good chunk of the movie before the kid goes deaf, he does seem to be doing a pretty good job as a father. Honestly, like a great job, in fact. Would you agree?
Yes, and I think that leads to an interesting point. I think he has more compassion for children than he does for adults. We see that time and time again. He has a great deal of compassion for HW, and he has a great deal of compassion for Mary Sunday, who he also dotes on and says, who ends up becoming HW's wife, but that's neither here nor there at this point. But he said, like he in front of her father says he's no longer beating you, is he? Like trying to, like in his own way, try to guilt the father for ever having beaten her in the first place.
He's becoming the center of the town that the religious leader was not.
Yeah, it's funny because there is definitely a power struggle between him and Eli Sunday.
At that point, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And yes, definitely at that point in the movie, there is definitely a power struggle between them, and they're both vying for the, I guess the moral superiority in their own ways. Like,
well, I would say, boy Sunday assumes that he has it. Like he presumes that position, that mantle. And then this guy coming along trying to usurp what he, thought was his, because he'd called dibs or whatever. And yeah, what did he ever do that, showed any sort of moral authority or moral backbone or right to that mantle? He just does his little song and dance. And because it has the religious angle and it's the time it is and the location it is, he gets, he gets it for free. No, then along comes this guy who's actually doing any good for anyone at all. And, makes a claim to the throne, usurps him. Understandably, he becomes all upset.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most interesting aspects of the movie, that these two like very bullheaded, very egomaniacal men end up like approaching power from very different aspects, from very different walks of life, and they end up into like direct competition, and each one, like, you could argue they feed off of each other, and then they end up in direct conflict with each other a couple times in the film. Like, well, the obvious when at first, probably the first instance of it is when Daniel gets into like a physical altercation with Eli and ends up wrestling him into the mud and
Slap around,
slapping him around. Yes.
open hand, as you are supposed to, beat Christians, right?
Yeah.
That's what it says in the Bible. If you're going to strike a Christian, do it with the open hand.
Yes, there was a lot of slapping. And,
It was hilarious, honestly.
It,
Eat the mud, you dirty boy.
and to be fair, though, Eli justly, accuses Daniel of not paying him the amount that was agreed upon.
Now, that is curious to me because in his dealings, he seems like a very, ethical businessman as far as one can be. Like he pays his debts. He's on good terms with his workers and his partners, and so the fact that he doesn't pay that debt is really just a personal thing. I have to assume that he has so much disdain and disrespect for this, posturing character, this creature,
Yeah, and he seems to have a lot of disdain for religion and this religious figure in specific. And is there anything to be read upon that, do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know how common it was to be a secular man in those days. So, I mean, I think that would significantly inform what we're supposed to think about that. Because it did seem to want to be a period accurate movie. So the mindset toward being secular as opposed to being overtly religious would be, part of the character, part of the reading. But you could say, the classic, oh, he's, taken over by the profane world. His only interest is profit. His only motives are, base and mundane. But really, who in the movie are you not able to say that about? Who's a major player? Well, it's definitely not a movie about religion. I would say it's about two characters, one of whom happens to be religious, and that's his power. That's his tool. That's his his angle. Rather than he's not an oil man. He sells sanctuary.
Yeah, no, definitely. He is very, like I was saying earlier, he's very megalomaniacal, but in using religion as a tool. He's a demagogue.
He's a false prophet.
He is a false prophet, and Daniel Plainview gets him to admit as much in private. But
yeah, and I did like the parallel in that scene. It was fun. Thank you, Paul Thomas Anderson. Very cool. Very literary, very
yeah, and it's interesting. It's an interesting contrast with this scene in which he gets Daniel Plainview to admit his shortcomings in front of his congregation. Plainview is content with having Eli admit his shortcomings just in front of him, because he is accountable to himself and no one else. He doesn't care about like congregations or any of that. He's just like, just say this in front of me,
in an audience. He's self-contained.
Yeah. And he, like you were saying, he even says earlier in the film, I don't like other people. I hate other people. I'm just, like accountable to myself.
Well, that's flawed self-knowledge, I would say.
Yes, but it's interesting nonetheless.
No, I'd agree. Just a sec. Let me collect a thought. I'm still waking up, unfortunately.
That's
But
okay.
that was something I wanted to come back to. It might not come. It was about his relationship with. Oh yeah, I've got it. Okay, and then what are we to make of the fact that the character of Paul is played by the same actor as our little megalomaniac? You know, the inciting incident in their interpersonal relationship being that the same actor playing a different character who we never see again, and we never see Paul again, do we?
No, we don't, and I think that is interesting. That Paul is the one that instigates all of this, and then he fucks off to wherever, and yeah, and then Eli is who we end up dealing with as, I would argue, the primary antagonist of the film.
Do we have an antagonist or do we have a deuteragonist?
I would say he's the antagonist. Because deuteragonist usually, um,
I just wanted to say deuteragonist. I don't care.
that's
I never
yeah,
get to use that word because then I can call him the deuter.
the deuter.
Deuterino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
You're really gonna make me want to rewatch the Big Lebowski, aren't you?
You're a Lebowski. I'm a Lebowski.
So let's get on with it. All right. Yeah, no, I would say he is the antagonist of the film because there is really no other force that is directly opposing Daniel Plainview in.
It's himself. He's his own worst enemy.
He is his own worst enemy, but in this film, the only one that like calls him out on his shit, I would say, is Eli Sunday. And
But his motive for doing that is self-interest.
yes, but that's usually the role of an antagonist. It doesn't matter his intention or his like it doesn't matter if he's entirely self-interested or his it doesn't matter what his intentions are. The fact that he is opposing the protagonist of the film is entirely.
But he's not.
I would argue he does.
In what sense?
In the sense that he I think Daniel wants to think of himself as a good person, and even though he is entirely a-religious, he thinks of himself as doing the right thing. And
does he? Is that substantiated? Because everything we see is, he could dismiss it, whether it's entirely true or not. He could dismiss it as just marketing for his ventures to make things run smoothly. I'm sure that one of the motives, there may have been others, but one of the motives was, as he said, when he adopted the child, to have a pretty face to help him, sell his pitch.
Yeah, he did say that. Like he wasn't being altruistic about it. It was entirely to.
Yeah, well, he said it was entirely as a maneuver, but whether that's true or not, we don't know.
Yeah,
because he could have, had someone else looking after the kid, but no, he raised this child, right? He didn't have to do that. This could have been more like an object to him, a tool. But that's not how he treated the infant. And it is interesting to see how, to me, maybe the more interesting character of the movie is little Herbert Walker.
Oh, definitely. And when I find it interesting that when he grows up, he says, like he's gonna fuck off to Mexico and start his own business. And of course, his adopted dad is immediately like, "Oh, you're going to be a competitor to me. You're going to, like be against me." And HW is like, "No, that's really not what I intended." He's like, "Well, no, that's the reality." And it's like, I don't know. What do you make of that?
Yeah, this guy who's I think he's just been in the game too long at that point. Like
Yeah,
he's permanently drunk. He's shooting up his own house. Right? There's no way he's actively engaging in business at this point. So it's just
right.
the mindset he's cultivated. You know, he was on that Sigma grind set for too long, and it finally poisoned his brain. So it was everything he had. It was his only, you know, source of value and meaning and purpose. The accumulation of wealth, so that he could fuck off to a mansion and never have to talk to anybody again.
Yeah.
But it's never enough. You know, there's always something left. Still more worlds to conquer.
Yeah, and isn't that how it usually
He
goes?
lacked imagination. Alexander wept his little gay tears.
Yes, there were no more worlds to conquer. Which is interesting because like you were saying, he's already incredibly rich. Well, what else does he have to gain by expanding his territory and by shutting out his son?
And he helped being what he is, an asshole.
I
Now,
guess.
see, it's unfortunate that he lived in a time before therapy became commonplace. He just needs someone to talk to. I say that facetiously, but to an extent, it is true because his fake brother rolls up in the fake taxi, and they have some real moments together.
Yeah.
This guy who has, um, at the time, we, the audience, don't know that he's not actually the brother. So
Yeah.
we see, oh, here's a man who's been, broken, humbled by defeat, right? And he's lost whatever aggression may have been hereditarily present. So he suffered effectively, grew from it, benefited from it, as one must strive to. Some time in the chain gang would do a little good to many people I've known. So
Yeah.
has this changed the nature of a man? Turns out we don't really know the guy's nature. But whether that's entirely genetic or intrinsic is something that we don't have the resources to explore here because the man doesn't have a biological son. But at least tells us that nurture is not the be all end all. He was raised to have agency,
Yeah.
and that's a big thing. He was raised in the company of adults, not talked down to, not condescended to. Until he went deaf, he had, about the best upbringing one could have. And, do we really need mothers? Do we really need women? Shout out to all my single dads.
Well, I think
He was doing it all. He had it all, He was
I just like I don't subscribe to the narrative, but Anyway, what do you make of Daniel Plainview's ego, his hubris in this film?
Does he have
his-
hubris?
I think so. I think you could argue at the very beginning of the film, and this is sort of a superstitious reading that Plainview himself wouldn't subscribe to. It's almost like he is sacrificing someone to the earth when in the beginning of the film HW's original father is killed by the pumping device.
Well, it's dangerous work. Like, it claims a number of lives. Like, our protagonist himself could have died at several points before he becomes anyone. Like, I think that's what the movie, in the beginning sets out to show us, that he won his first wealth fair and square just through hard work, perseverance, and luck. And that he had a great willpower, because with his fucked up leg, he pulled himself all the way back to town, got it splinted, and then quickly got his claim assessed.
Yeah.
So he's one of the hard men of yore. He came by it honestly, and he developed it with integrity. And for a long time in this film, I kept thinking, where does it all go wrong? Because we don't see a single negative quality to this guy for some time, and there are dangers inherent in this work, right? But that doesn't make whoever's running the work responsible for that. He does seem to care about, the health and safety of his men.
Yeah.
Well, for one, as any good, overseer will, because they're, important to the task. If you want to run oil, you need, guys doing the work.
Yeah, and he does seem to understand that. But on some level, he also is very distrusting of other people in any form, and very solipsistic. Like he says he hates other people.
And he trusts the guy who he thinks is his brother.
Yeah, to an extent, but then he becomes distrusting when he keeps asking him for money, and then well, to his credit, he does find out that the man is a liar. So what are we to make of that? Is his worldview validated in that way? Do you think?
I don't know. Maybe he just got lucky.
Yeah. I would say there is an aspect of him.
He's the luckiest man in the world.
I
Wish
don't
I
know
had a
about
cold
that.
stick to eat off the floor. Wish I had a long straw to drink someone else's milkshake with.
And anyway, this trucking company is saying they've sent me a document in my email, and I'm not seeing it in either my main feed or my spam filter, so I don't know where the fuck else to look. He said he sent it twice.
Check your physical mailbox. Check
Yeah.
your asshole.
I'm already looking.
Reach on in.
But anyway, what do we make of the success this man has had, just being a complete antisocial asshole? He's basically like the proverbial millionaire, where he's just stepped on everyone else's toes, but he's also achieved this great success by doing so.
We don't see him stepping on a lot of toes. We don't see him, being an asshole too much. Like he does quite a lot of good. He brings roads and education, as all my favorite fascists throughout history have done. He's good for a community, right? Maybe that's just part of his sales pitch, but that doesn't matter. I would argue.
I mean, he definitely has an agenda throughout the film, but he's trying to establish goodwill, but at the same time he does it by appealing to the masses in the way that they expect.
And what's wrong with that? If I want a thing that's good for me, and you give a thing that's good for me, give me a thing that's good for me, and you get something out of it in return. Well, does that make you an asshole? I don't see how.
Well, I think
giving them. He's not saying, "Oh, I'm going to open, saloons and whorehouses and cause the moral degradation of this town." No, like he's very much a net good for these people. Well, from a very religious reading, one could say, "Oh, he was not a good enough friend of the church, which is supposed to be the moral center." But we don't really see the church being any better than him.
Right. Yeah, and this
revelation. It wasn't, how many revelations do you need, honestly? If 2 isn't enough, then just burn it down, start over, give us a flood.
Yeah, but like I said, in this, the church, the figurehead of the church is Eli Sunday, and he is shown to be really just as corrupt as Daniel Plainview, and he's willing to forsake his beliefs.
Daniel Plainview alone.
What?
Leave Daniel Plainview alone.
No, I will not. He's played by Paul Dano, who usually plays an asshole in movies.
Daniel Plainview is played by Daniel Day-Lewis.
I know. I'm not saying that he's any better.
Okay, one of us is confused. My speech isn't slurred.
You're saying mine is? Prove it in a court of law.
I've got footage.
You stay noted.
I can do naught else.
Oh.
Which member of iCurly do you want to bang the most? It's okay, it's nostalgic.
Oh my god. Oh, it's gotta be Jeanette McCurdy.
I don't know who that is. I've never seen the show.
It's an actual person in the show, but I'm just being stupid. As usual.
Drinking milkshake.
Yeah, so he used the territorial law to circumvent the Sunday's property ownership and steal all their oil with his proverbial straw.
Oh, it was the Brady property? Was it Brady? Something like that. Bandy?
Something like that.
The Bandy Bunch.
Yeah. Dear old William. I believe it was Bandy. Yeah.
So it's better than seepage. Most would agree.
But then, okay, let's get to the elephant in the room, though. When he kills Eli, he then turns to his butler and says, "I'm finished." What do you make of that? Does he mean that he's finished in the sense that his work is done, or does he mean that he's finished in that he is going to then be destroyed by this event? Like he's finished. I'm finished.
I think
Or-
it's with the possible exception of his errant son, all of his major, the things that mattered to him, the external motives, the forces acting on him, were resolved.
I would tend to agree. I would think it was the former, that he just feels like his business is accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy comes to him. It's funny.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that's entirely too convenient. That that only happens because the writer wanted that to happen. Like we're brothers. Is that enough of a reason for the guy to come back? Because he knows his brother-in-law has money. My brother, father-in-law.
Who are we talking
Yeah,
about?
because Eli.
Oh.
He says we're brothers. Well, no, he's his father-in-law, right?
He's his brother-in-law. You were right the first time.
Is
Because his son is married to his sister. Or son-in-law? Son-in-law.
Eli's son is married to, or no, you've got me confused now.
I'm sorry.
And
Eli's
son is married to
sister is
Eli's
married to
sister.
Yeah,
Right.
Eli's sister's married to his son. So his son-in-law.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not his brother.
Yeah.
But he says we're brothers. So of a greater, spiritual nature, because they were equals in the power struggle that you referred to several times.
Yeah.
Respect to me as a competitor, I was your equal. Now you see me brought low, demeaned by my own hubris. Now, if there's someone in the movie with hubris, it's Eli.
Yeah, I would definitely argue though that there's definitely some hubris on that side, but the hubris of the hubris of Daniel is that he can tame this oil, this natural resource, and time again it like it.
Well, he sets off to make his fortune doing that, and he could easily have been, unsuccessful. But he had success, and he, through skill and luck, which are, what you need to be successful in any endeavor, was able to, keep the ball rolling. So I don't really see any hubris, hubris to try something that may fail. Like that's, you're not supposed to call that hubris. You're supposed to call that,
I would say the hubris exists in that his partner died, his son lost his hearing, and just like these unfortunate events keep happening that are surrounded with it, with him, like assuming that he can control this thing that he clearly can't. But he ends up, through the circumstances of capitalism, profiting off of regardless.
Is he overconfident? Is he prideful? Well, we see him, being able to master it as well as anyone can. Like, are any of the other oil people there, not experiencing the loss of human life? It's a dangerous job, and dangerous jobs were, available in plenty at this time in this location.
Yeah, I'm not discounting the danger of the inherent to the job. I'm just saying that maybe he was a little bit prideful, and like maybe not to the extent that.
Well, he's not boastful. He's accurately portrays his achievements and his you know uh, track record, his history of success. So
Yeah.
he's built it up through hard work. There's no bluster. There's no
Well, there is certainly bluster in how he deals with other people that he feels like are less than, like the
Well,
businessman
he
that tried
does do a bit of a song and dance with the "it's a family business," my son and I, etc. Nobody should look on bread as a luxury. That's a marketing pitch. That's a different matter, I would submit.
Yeah, but I'm specifically referring to the businessmen that try to buy his business, and then he takes to personal attacks against them and says he's going to slit their throats in their sleep.
Okay, he is sensitive or prideful about his relationship with his son, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that part, to be honest. His reaction to the man saying, "Oh, maybe you could spend more time with your son." Like, what did you make of that?
I would take that when he said to Eli in front of his congregation, "I've abandoned my son. I've abandoned my boy." He actually believed that, and that's why he was so passionate about like declaring that.
Yeah, that was real. I would, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that's why he was so sensitive when the businessman said, you can spend more time with your son." Well, fuck you. I've already spent enough time with my son. What are you saying? Like I feel like that's a sore subject for him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to find you where you live, and I'm going to cut your throat. He doesn't. That's the one. That's the one hubris in the movie that he doesn't sneak into the guy's home and kill him. Where he's all talk.
And yeah, it is interesting. All right. Do you have any other thoughts about the film?
Everyone was sweaty.
It
It's a period piece.
Yeah. I would say this film was really well done. I really liked like every aspect of it.
You don't have to suck off Paul Thomas Anderson. There's already a long line.
Well, I think I do.
Good. It's a pretty good movie.
It's a pretty good movie.
Plenty to talk about. Plenty to enjoy if you're into a little bit of cinema, a little bit of kino.
Yeah. And I really like the score by Johnny Greenwood. I think it's one of his best. It might be one of the best scores of the 21st century. Is that too much?
I don't think so, honestly. I mean, for one, I gotta give you like enormous points if you pull off a Bartok pastiche that good.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. I think it does a really good job.
I mean, there's other stuff going on in it too, but most of it seems to be like pulling directly from Bartok, who is, the OG. We would not be where we are today if it wasn't for Bartok. He's like up there with Stravinsky as, arguably most important composers of the era in terms of their lasting influence.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks for tuning into another episode of the Music Smoothie.
Politics and movies, different podcast. Check it out. Listen to the episode on the fly. Listen to the episode on From Beyond. We talk about my perineum.
I love Gland. Maybe get slightly less loaded for the next one. He has to get all fucked up in order to talk to me. Wow.
No,
He's professional.
it's a matter of circumstance.
He's a man of leisure. He's a man of pleasure. He's Papa John in the flesh.
Exactly.
I recently learned about government cheese. That we have stuffed crust because of the government.
Really? Tell me.
Well, you know about the cheese caves, right?
No.
Oh, that does surprise me a little. So at one point in the States, there was this big. So the dairy industry was in trouble, and they were like, "Hey, government, if something bad happens to us, it'll affect the stock market and it'll destabilize the country." So the government bought up a whole bunch of cheese to prop up the dairy industry for a little while, and they were like, "What do we do with all this goddamn cheese?" So they stuck it in a cave in, I want to say, Wisconsin, and it's like emergency cheese reserves for the nation. And because they had so much cheese, and cheese doesn't last forever, they had to rotate some of it out. So they were selling it at bargain rates to, among other people, the pizza companies in the States, like a lot of big pizza companies, like Papa John's and apparently Jet, which I've never heard of. Do you know Jet Pizza?
I do not.
Okay, might be a before times establishment. Anyway, so they were, encouraging people these companies to use cheese however they could, and so they were, they started doing whatever they could with it, and they put it in the crust, and so because of the government, we have stuffed crust pizza. They made vast volumes of cheese available at cheap rates and encouraged companies to, find new things to do with it.
That's interesting. No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh yeah, well, I thought you would have known about the cheese caves because that's one of those like fun facts, weird things. That there's just this huge stockpile of cheese in the States, like a strategic cheese stockpile.
Yeah, the caves of Parmesan. That sounds more like an Italy thing, honestly.
Yeah, it reminded me more of how there's that cave in, I want to say, like Croatia or something, where they keep all the film, all the celluloid, just because it's an environment that's not conducive to fires. You know about that one?
No, but that sounds about right.
Okay, let me look this up real quick.
Okay. Well, we're on this cheese tangent regardless.
Okay, apparently film is best preserved in freezing temperatures. Didn't know that.
Okay.
I'm not finding. See, I use Bing because it gets me Microsoft points, reward points, and I can use those to like buy things that are worth actual money. But it's kind of a shit search engine sometimes. Okay, apparently there's a salt mine in Kansas. Oh, they store all sorts of things there. And this abandoned salt mine in Kansas, 30 to 40% of their business is accounted for by film storage. And they have stuff dating back to the 20s.
All right, that's interesting. What would Daniel Payne do?
We're in Kansas forever.
Yeah.
Kansas über alles, as they say.
Yeah, they really do say it.
Probably stop recording now. The 15 best cave movies ranked by fans.
Über alles. All right.
Nuts and Flammen.
Yeah. All right. This was our episode on There Will Be Blood. There will be blood. There was blood. He beat a guy to death with a fucking thing.
Bowling pin. That's the
Bowling
word
pin.
you're.
Yeah, that's a word that eludes my brain. Um, and he drank his milkshake, as it were.
Turned him into a milkshake at the end.
Yeah, he turned his brain pan into a milkshake. Unfortunate.
He brought the boy to his yard.
Bumbada 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 bumbada. All right, that was our episode on There Will Be Blood. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And remember to like and subscribe to my asshole and to GS's asshole. And it's very important. All right. Have a good one.
Celebrity hole.
Yeah. Remember to listen to the band Hole because it's 1996.
Holes is my favorite book. Lois Hole is my favorite Governor General. Holes is my favorite garden equipment store.
Yeah, we love Louis Sacker.
Head like a hole. It's the 90s.